Circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned. Celebrate release. Circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned. Celebrate release. Circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned. Celebrate release. Circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
Wasn't that wonderful? Another hand for Spirit Voice. Good morning and welcome to all of you here in the sanctuary with your smiling faces, and of course also to all of you online who are watching from another place. This is Unity Spiritual Center, Spokane. Our mission states we are a vibrant community growing through spiritual practices and love. Isn't that lovely? It just resonates with me. I hope it does with you. My name is Sally Sledge. I get to be platform assistant today. And this is the time, please, we ask you to check your cell phone and make sure that it's put on silent. Thank you so much. As always, we want to begin our time together by sharing our opening affirmation. Together, please. One presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. The good. This is Unity's foundation principle. One presence, one power, one life living through and as each one of us. So today, Reverend Bonnie is going to be talking about her title is Everything is Spiritual, Even and Especially Football. I was thinking about that yesterday, hoping it was true also for basketball when the Zags met Kentucky. Thank you, Bonnie. That was a tight game. Music today will be performed by Spirit Voice. And Spirit Voice has been together for many years now, led by Greg Tenold. And it's the Breckling family, the Daisley family, and the Sledge family. Oh! Well, it's not on my notes here. Oh, I am so sorry. Pat White and Gail Hammer, we call them the Whammer family. Thank you for correcting me. Our lesson will be by Reverend Bonnie, and meditation by Reverend Bonnie. And first, we're going to have some our community song sung by Spirit Voice. Written by Scott Jameson. That's right, who is not here. He's visiting his mom.
Well, with this theme, this reading today is taken from the Sport Journal, an article entitled Sport and Spirituality. To see the soul of sport we must look beyond both the superficial, if spectacular, physical feats and the much publicized aggression, anger, and greed in sport. Because sport is spiritual as well as physical, it can lead an athlete to personal transfiguration, revival of communal understanding, and redemption of life's purpose and possibilities. The precisely executed tennis topspin, say that fast 5 times, the gutsy 50-foot platform dive, the harmoniously choreographed triangle offense, the undeniable magic of the miracle game, or perfect golf round can offer the deepest kind of meaning. Sports' contribution to spiritual advancement cannot be underestimated. Each person's spiritual venture involves 3 levels of connection: to the self, which would be inner strength, to relationships, which would be our undeniable union with others, and to a higher being or purpose. The quest for spiritual relevance is often grounded in the practices, teaching, and rituals of the world's many religions. Religious scripture renders verbal descriptions and explanations to clarify complex spiritual themes. While the sacred scriptures of the world's religions read differently, their messages and themes are often similar. There has been said that they share 10 common themes: the idea of a supreme being, the theme of self, of the spiritual path, of knowledge and wisdom, of the good life, of love and service, of devotion and worship, of fate and free will, of death, and of spiritual sage. This paper presents sport as an intriguing, insight-generating, exhilarating, and joyful means of awakening a lethargic soul, grasping an unresponsive heart, and enlightening feeble and fragile imagination to robust possibilities and convincing realities. One demanding scriptural theme that challenges our essential nature is the perplexing premise that God is within us. As expressed in the Christian Bible, He is not far from each one of us, for in Him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17, 27 to 28. In the realm of sport, God within us is perhaps epitomized in the experience of flow. Also experienced by accomplished artists and musicians, flow is described by many athletes as being in the zone, a state of harmonious union of body and mind, wherein the two work effortlessly, leaving the individual with an undeniable feeling that something special has occurred. The Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan was in the zone, for example, in Game 1 of the '92 NBA Finals against Portland, when in the first half he sank 6 three-point shots. At that time, reportedly, a broadcast crew member gestured at Jordan as if to ask, "How did you do that?" And in reply, Jordan shrugged the famous shrug, acknowledging the wonder and mystery of his out-of-body experience, the only part of which he understood was that he couldn't miss. In flow, there is this uncanny realization that what has been experienced is an undeniable sense of peace. Now, on this Super Bowl Sunday, as we explore God as all there is, take a moment of silence. And let us pray. How wonderful is it to be in the inner sanctuary of God's good, to realize that no matter where we are and what is going on around us, we can be established within the sanctuary of the Most High Good, what we call God, what we call life. Today we recognize the only power, this one power, as the indwelling presence of all. This means this indwelling presence resides within me. Within me is the sanctuary of God the good. What a bold and promise-filled statement. There is an eternal, power-filled love within me that has always existed before I was born, after I leave this planet, and within me right now, God the good. Today I invite this divinity to the forefront of my being, to live me, to love me, express through me, and transform all in its path. I am willing to be God in the place that God shows up. In this service, I practice seeing the divine presence. I see it and feel it in those who sit next to me. I see it and feel it in the music played and sung today. I experience the divine presence in the perfect right way for my soul's unfolding today in this talk given by Reverend Bonnie. As I open my willingness to understand the many ways God shows itself through humanity, including football, I am willing to see how God shows itself while shopping at Fred Meyer, holding my children or grandchildren. That sense of God between my friends and within each exchange. I give thanks for this opportunity to recognize God, celebrate God, remember God, and commune with the Most Holy. My life is good because I say so. My life is good because behind all appearances resides a substance that is pure love. My life is good because I am willing to trust in that substance and in that love as my true self. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Spirit Voice. That was spectacular. Turn to the person next to you and say, Spirit is in the room and Spirit is in you. Awesome. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center Spokane. Whether you're here in this very room where Spirit is enough, where we heard about in this room there is enough to transform everything, because we share the macrocosm with the microcosm and the microcosm with the macrocosm. So in this room, in this space, when we connect to the field and we open our hearts and we allow the divine presence of love to have its way through us, the room changes, and the room is a microcosm of the macrocosm, and so the collective changes. Yes. And given our topic today, you know that you're not in a traditional church. In fact, you're not in a church at all. We are a spiritual center, and a spiritual center means that we have taken the principles from all of the major world religions, and we have been able to identify this is all that is what is shared in common. And if we come from these place of principles, we are in alignment with and from the divine. And the premier foundational principle across all major world religions is there's only one thing going on, and that is God. And the second principle across all major world religions is that thing that we are calling God is capital G, good, without an opposite. So in all religions, it's the principle, all there is God, and that allness is good. And so then, what our sweet, cute little mind ends up saying is, but what about this? But what about that? But what about this? And what about that? And I don't like this, and I'm judging that. And so what we realize is that we embody the divine presence to the level that we are able to have awareness of it and allow it to express through us. So we come together as a collective to remember that oneness and to open our being so we can allow that oneness to flow through us and to become aware and willing. So those are the aspects, and all of that exists within all of life, including all sport, Sally. And today we're focusing on football because it is Super Bowl Sunday. So, we have some roles to talk about in the game of football, and that's where the focus is going to go today, because what I could do is do a whole weekend, imagine that, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, talking about the spiritual aspects of football or any sport, but I'm not going to. I have 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, however long you'll sit before you run. And so I decided to just look at the different roles today and how those roles or avenues of expressing the divine, expressing the qualities of God. How does that sound? Yes, okay. So regardless of what the roles are, what every last one of them who make it to the Super Bowl share in common is excellence. They are excellent at what they do. They are the best of the best of the best. And God expresses as excellence. God does not express as mediocrity. God does not express as limitation. Those are our own mental constructs. God is pure excellence. And when we see the best of the best of the best in whatever avenue that is, we see or experience or feel the presence of God. And so it was maybe 15 years ago that I first gave a talk on spirituality in football to a congregation. And I did it because I noticed when I went into bars or into gatherings that there was such a commitment, excitement, a presence that I only see in the most spiritually advanced. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, they will not take their eyes off that TV. Like, they are one with, right? And I was very curious. And then I looked, and football had rituals. Football had all these aspects of what traditional church had. They had the rules, they had the fanfare, they have all of this jazz. So what I know about life itself is each one of us show up in a doing nature. There's something we do in our lives. For Scott and for Greg, they're doing music. But the doingness is not where the juice is. The juice is in the energy from which they do it. Okay? So you guys, I'm sure, have met people who are just doing the bare minimum or just getting something done and crossing it off their list. That is vastly different than the person who has dedicated their lives to a feat and are operating from that energy. And when you're in their presence, you're like, whoa, this is amazing. So we have in all humanity a content and we have a context. So the content is what you're doing. Spirit voice came up here and they sang. That's the content, but the context was how they did it. So they could have come and sang this song by just getting the notes out and just like making sure they're on pitch or in tune. That is vastly different than embodying a song and delivering it to a community. So everything is done with content and context. So when we look at these roles, what we are remembering is these people are the best of the best of the best. So today we're going to look at coach, players, fan, cheerleaders, and the officials. Let's start with the players themselves. Now, I'm going to tell you a side story, which I wasn't going to, but my dad coached Little League football, and he did it for decades. He was such a good coach, they called him Coach Barnard. And so when I went to my 20-year class reunion, the most gorgeous men stood in line waiting to say hi to me. And I was like, dang, this is good. And every last one of them came up to me and said, would you thank Coach Barnard for me? I was like, what? But they came up to say, I want to thank Coach Barnard because he taught me life lessons. He taught me how to be a man through football. And so this is what happens with a player, is they learn maturation skills. Here are 15 that USA Football identified. They learn one, and do an inventory with yourself and see if you've learned these anywhere in your own life. First, healthy and unhealthy competition. Second, how to be disciplined. Third, how to work really hard. 4, how to lead. 5, how to follow. 6, how to be accountable. 7, how to encourage others even when they want to quit. 8, the value of practice. And that's what we know here in a spiritual community, is we only deepen in spirit when we practice. 9, how to sacrifice a short-term satisfaction for a long-term goal. 10, how to accomplish something bigger than oneself. 11, how to use to control in controllable situations. 12, how to take a stand for something. 13, the value of fundamentals, also something very important on the spiritual journey. 14, how to finish something you start. And 15, how to be selfless. So as a side note, over 1 million high school football players want to enter the NFL every year. You know how many slots there are every year? 251. So the people you see playing are 0.023% of those who had the desire. They're the best. Now, along with anything in human form, we have shadow sides. And so I watched that Will Smith movie where there was concussions and all kinds of awful things that happened with these beautiful human beings who are players. And what is lovely is just like on a spiritual journey, we look at our shadow and we make changes. So the NFL has responded with all kinds of new helmets that have been invented to be able to prevent concussions. They have put new rules in place to diminish the opportunities for those things to happen. And so what we see when we're on a spiritual journey always is that we're looking at the presence of God in front of us. And when we see a form which is always made from man, from personality, it's made from duality. When we look at a form and we see something could be higher, we do the work to elevate it, just as the NFL has done. Now, for me, and what was read in our reading this morning, the beauty of watching any sport is to see when the flow happens. So it's out of the fundamentals that grace arises. It's out of the fundamentals that we can see something that we know was never planned and yet happened, and it's beautiful. We get to stand and watch the beauty of all of that. All right, let's shake. Okay, cheerleaders, woohoo, woohoo, okay. The role of a cheerleader, the way I see it, is that they audit the energy of the game. And they feel into what's going on energetically, and if they need to shift energy, they do dance and they do calling to do the shift. And back in the day, back in Greece, women used to dance in the temple in order to demonstrate the poetry of God. And so this is a tradition of using the physical body, the beautiful physical body, to be able to move in such a way to gather attention and cause movement to happen. And so these ladies are also the best of the best, the rarest of the rare. They, do you know, none of them weigh more than 120 pounds? Just saying. And the grandma in me says, put a coat on, but that's my own thing. But what's interesting is to look at these beautiful women and to see what goes on in your mind. See what goes on in your mind. Does something possessive come up, like you want that? Does something in your mind come up that looks like envy because you aren't that? Does judgment come up? Does hatred? Do you project hatred outward towards others? Do you make assumptions? Do you objectify? And all of this comes down to how do we honor the beauty of God when we see it? And all the philosophers from the beginning of time said beauty holds just as much value as good. Turn to the person next to you and say, I see the beauty of God in you. All right, and we have our officials, and our officials are the keepers of the rule or the keepers of the law. And one of the first things we learn in metaphysics is that there are laws, and that the laws always work, and that there isn't a deviation from the law. And we realize that when we plant an orange seed, we get an orange tree, and when we plant a rose seed, we get a rose bush. And whatever it is we plant in consciousness and nurture is what grows within us. And so I love the role of the keeper of the rules or the keeper of the laws, because it is a spiritual equivalent to our own practice of discernment, our own discerning what is right for us and how we stay on track. So each one of these roles are external in football, but you can see our internal in our own consciousness. And then we have the fans. Woo-hoo! We have the fans, and we have a special fan this year. Her name is Taylor Swift. And I think my friend Murphy has one on too. Murphy, stand up. Show, oh yeah, there she goes. Yay. And Gay beautified my shirt because I couldn't have a man's shirt. That just didn't work for me. So thank you, Gay. She was up last night sewing her cute little heart out. So the fans are the support team. And we all know, as qualities of God go, that we all need support. Every last one of us needs somebody cheering us on. And that's what's so beautiful about having the chaplains here. It's what's so beautiful about having an opportunity to put in a prayer request when we need it, is that we are getting our spiritual support to be able to move on and move forward. Now, I have to say, these are Seattle Seahawk fans, and they are crazy. They are crazy. When my dad was alive, he had season tickets, and God bless him, they were on the 9th row up in the 50-yard line section. And so, guess what? Yeah, they were cool seats, but if it snowed, guess who got snowed on? Not the people up there. Guess who got rained on? I'm just saying that it was in the elements. And here were these Seattle fans that didn't have shirts on and were painted. And I'm looking at them and saying, Dad, these guys are crazy. But what I've come to appreciate is that the fan has its own role and its own element. And for some of the fans, there's an aspect of performance art that happens with them. And that is part of the culture of the fan. And Seattle was smart enough to realize that you can't have good football without having the support of a fan. So they created the 12th man or the 12th player, and it became a thing because all of it has to work together. You have to have the excellence. You have to have the fundamentals. You've got to have someone calling the shots, and you have to be supported for all of this thing to work together. Do you see the parallel with life? Do you see why you look at the screen and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a magic happening? Because in a couple hours, you are watching back at yourself your own life, okay? Really a cool thing. The danger of being a rabid fan is divisiveness. When you become a tribal member and you differentiate yourself from another tribal member, and there starts to be division, you've gone to the lower layers and lower levels of consciousness. That's not the intention. So this is a way to be able to check and look at yourself as well. Interesting enough, during COVID, do you remember when the stadiums were empty and the players played? And they couldn't play well without the support of the fans, so they had to pipe in sounds of fans there. All right, coaches, are we ready? Here we go.
Players don't know about it, but the 1 through 7 is this guy's here, this guy's here. What is I can't emphasize enough. What does that 7 look like? What are you looking for when you label a guy a 7? Because not too many dudes got that 7.
Unfortunately, you're right on what everybody always wants to know, because they want to know, who's that guy? Is it 7? But there ain't hardly any 7s.
I know.
Hardly any 7s.
I know.
It starts off, I'll share it with you. I don't share this very often, but it's the competitive skill. And this is not about what kind of player somebody is. It's what is their nature? What is their makeup? And who are they? Who are we dealing with? It's the same thing I've been talking about. It's the guy we're looking for. And, if you're a 1 or 2, you're a survivor. You're just barely, if you're a 1, you're just hanging on. You're barely there. But you're there. A 2 is a guy who's just a step ahead of the guy that's just here to surviving it and getting through, but he's got a chance. Let me say this. The whole point of the scale is to figure out where somebody is so that we can identify it and agree on it, and then now we can go to battle for the guy to elevate him up the scale. Okay, and the basics of it are really about internal motivation. Guys that are internally, naturally motivated to try to get something and do something with whatever they're faced with. And so, a 3 and a 4 on that scale, that's a pretty good, you're a competitor, but you're likely competing for external
factors,
for the money, for the stature, for the status.
Yep.
I want to be a football player, and they're not really centered on what drives them. And so as you go to the 3 and 4s, those are competitors, but yet that's not the level that we want guys. We're trying to work them into the 5s and 6s. And 4s are pretty good now because they're competitors they're starting to find their way out of it. But a 5 is a guy who's internally motivated and he's got his act together and everything is pretty much in line and he can pretty much run his own world and control it because he's driven. You get to be a 6 now. That's it.
You're a stud.
You're the real deal.
You're a stud.
You don't care what anybody thinks. You do stuff because you know what you need, and you're willing to do what it takes. And we don't really need to help you very much. We just kind of need to get out of your way, but put you in the position so that you can be successful. And so that's what we're trying to get people to achieve. The 7, now that's a whole nother deal now. See,
You ever had a 7?
Yeah, we have. You've been with them, and I'm sorry, you weren't a 7 on the scale.
I know.
But there's only been 2 or 3 guys,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to unveil it all. But I'll tell you that what the ultimate true competitor is to us is the guy that has everything going. Everything is in line, everything is in order. He's got his world. He's maximizing who he is, but he also is compelled. He's got to take people with him. He has to take people with him. And not only does he have to take them, but they're going to go with him. That's that guy to me. That's the true 7. That's the guy that is so much of the leader, so much of the competitor, that and not just that they can see that, but that he has it in him that he needs to take people with him. That's the ultimate guy that we're shooting for. And that we don't win and lose based on that guy.
Sure.
That's just, you're just lucky when you got him. It's the 6s that we need. We need all those guys that are freaking above it, internally motivated, driven, focused. They're going to give you everything they got. You never have to worry about where they're coming from. So.
Right. So in spirituality, in metaphysics and mysticism, we also have got levels of consciousness. And when I teach a class, and what I hear back from people, I can very quickly discern where they are in levels of consciousness. And it is never about judgment, and it is never about keeping someone in a place. It's always about elevation. It's always about how can I support this person in moving from here to moving to the next level. How can I coach? How can I support? How can I be available to take someone from here to there? So I really resonated with his levels when he spoke about them. And it was very pithy when he talked about levels 1 through 2 being survival, and you can't do very much with that. And that is a really ingrained, in our language, that's an ingrained victim consciousness. It's not malleable. It's not open to grow. It is stuck in seeing the world as against in almost all situations. So that 1 to 2 is really difficult. And then he says, yeah, you start getting some 3 to 4s where they're people who are in the game and they're out for that external, whatever it is, to have the wealth or to have the friendships or they're out for the external. And then through maturation and growth, what happens is the realization of it's all in here. And that's with the football players. It's all in here. And when you get that it's all in here, there are some folks who have that realization and say, I got to go take other people with me because the world will be different. How we are on this planet will be different when more people know how powerful they are inside of themselves. We got to let people know how powerful they are inside of themselves. And that's where something like this spiritual center is absolutely essential in every community, and especially in ours. Because I think we're it. I haven't met other spiritual centers here in Spokane. So as a side note for interest, Coach Carroll came up with that 7, the layers of 7, after reading a book by John Wooden. He called it the Blue Book. And in there, Coach Carroll was struggling because he was never a head coach. He was always a supporting coach. And he wanted so desperately to be a head coach that he got this book and he read it. And it said the only way you could be a head coach is to know who you are. And he went, I have no idea who I am. And he did the work. And he sat down and he said, what is it within me that makes me me? And he came up with the word competitive. But it wasn't competing against others. It was about competing against himself. And he said, I'm somebody who competes against myself every single entire day so that I become more of me. Totally spiritual. I become more of me every single entire day. And he got the job 3 months later after discovering who he was with USC. And he attended Agape. He was an Agape man. And he realized the value of meditation. And he has brought that to every team he's ever had, is that you know who you are, you know what you are by going into meditation every single day. And that was a part of becoming the whole person, which he was teaching his gentlemen to become, his players. And that's the same if you read the book Sacred Hoops by Phil Jackson, amazing book. But he also had all of his players meditate as part of their regular regime. And of course, the Bulls went on to become absolutely magnificent. All right, lastly, let's just wrap all of this up. All roles in NFL, especially in the Super Bowl, all the roles have demonstrated and underlined excellence. Excellence is evidence of the presence of God. It is you've given your best, Spirit has met you, and you've co-created something beyond what is ordinary. So, demonstrated excellence in all roles. Players, they learn and practice the fundamentals just as each one of us in this room learn about spiritual principle, and we practice it, and when we practice it day in and day out and day in and day out, grace starts arising. And we get to watch that on the field with the players. Cheerleaders, they demonstrate beauty, agility, and they are facilitators of energy, a vastly and very important role. The judge represents law, order, and mediation is what that's supposed to say. And then the fans are the support team, and the coach embodies the vision for the organization and sets the tone, as we saw with Master Pete Carroll, the coach. So let us all go into meditation together. And so I'm keenly aware that in a few hours, the whole world, this is the most watched TV in the whole world is going to be watching this game because there's something in it for every level of consciousness. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey, when you participate in the game of football, you can see whatever it is that your perception sees. And so let's go deeper. Let's bring our attention down to our heart. And as you breathe in and breathe out, allow yourself to breathe through your heart. And with your senses, feel the breath and feel your heart. And with your awareness, watch that energy flow throughout your entire body temple. And feel the energy from your heart going down your legs and leaving your feet and getting all over the floor here. going down your arms and up the top of your head, and just adding to this beautiful energy field that exists in this room. This very room where there's enough love for the world. And because each one of us has the capacity to be multiple places in thought, let's just send a blessing to anyone in our circle who we know needs a blessing. And then bring our energy back into our own body temples. Just notice how good that felt. And let's do it again. Let's think of somebody else we can send a blessing to. And while remaining fully and completely here and present in this room, let's send a blessing out to everyone who's actually attending the Super Bowl today, just placing our energy in that location, knowing safety and love and all of the good that comes from coming together with intention. And let's bring our attention back, or our energy back into our body temple. And so I give thanks for each one of us here. I give thanks that the presence of God said, "Let there be," and there was and is each one of us. I give thanks that each one of us has shown up today in order to remember who and what we are. And I give thanks that each one of us is powerful, and each one of us is filled with joy, and each one of us has capacity to love deep and wide and in ways we know not of. And I just give thanks for all of this good that continues to bubble up in and through us and in and through our lives. I just celebrate the goodness and the glory and the love of God and give thanks that it is forever and without end. And so together let's say, and so it is. Amen.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger and endless aching need.
I say love, it is a flower, and you, its only seed.
It's a heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid
Beautiful. That makes me want to give. Love it. All right. Now's our time for giving, for sharing, for circulating, and for demonstrating enoughness, that we are enough and we have enough and we can and desire to share. So let's go ahead and take out our, well, here it's all the different ways you can give online or here. And then let's go ahead and take out our gift today, our offering. And if you are a regular giver and you donate through your bank, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's just so efficient and lovely, and this beautiful space gets the support. So if so, let's imagine your gift being held over your heart, and together, let's say our blessing. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. All right, can I get 2 Kansas City Chief fans up here? There's one. Who's joining them too? I could say Swiftie. And can I get 2 49er fans up here? All right. All right. All right. Okay, you guys have to hold each other's hands. Come on. Let's put them in the middle. Come on over here. Come on, baby. Let's be in between. Yeah, we have to demonstrate that we're not divisive. This is good. Okay, and together we're going to bless the money. Ready, guys? Open your heart big. All of us here direct our heart energy towards these wonderful gifts and treasures, and let's pray. So I just give thanks for the divine presence of God that is always revealing itself through all life, including through money. I give thanks that every single thing in physical form has the backing of the energy of God's love behind it. And so from this knowing and from this place, I bless these gifts and I bless those who gave them. Those online, I bless your gifts and I bless you for your giving power. And with this, I know that our bills are satisfied and that what we need to do in order to stay static and grow is provided, for God is a giver. And for this, I give thanks. And so it is. Amen. Go Woo!
That was fun. Now, my favorite part of the service is our unity statement. Please join me. Unity stands peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know that there is only one power, one presence, and one life. So wherever you are on your spiritual journey of transformation, you are welcome here. If you are here for the first time, we have a wonderful welcome packet we would like to give you if you're brave enough to raise your hand. And in that welcome packet, oh good, I see. Go ahead and raise your hand now. Woo! And the ushers will give you a packet, and in that packet is a coupon for a free coffee beverage at our barista stand, and some other goodies, of course. For those of you online who are new to our ministry, we encourage you to sign up for our e-news that comes out every Wednesday that talks about all the upcoming workshops and concerts and events. And oh my, do we have music and plays and team building events that go on every week in this place. And that would come through the e-news. I'm thinking of Friday night when we had Pamela Benton right here playing her guitar and playing her violin. It was quite an evening. So you can sign up for that email newsletter. We don't hound anybody on email. We send out one newsletter a week. You can scan the QR code you see on the screen or is posted around the center, or go to the website at unityspokane.org. Also, other social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search Unity Spiritual Center. Our chaplains today are Al and Gary. They've been holding the service in prayer. Prayer is very, very important here at Unity. And Cheryl, who I believe is with the kids, she will be up front to pray with anyone who would like prayer support today. And that could be because you have a joy to celebrate or something heavy on your heart that you'd like to share with someone. There's also a way on the website, correct, Al? Yes. To request prayer support, just so everyone knows that, and you can do that privately. Thank you, chaplains, for being of service. In the seat pocket in front of you, there's also a request form if you need prayer support, and the names are added to our prayer list and prayed over for 30 days by both our prayer ministry and Silent Unity. So please take advantage of that if you would like that. And now news you can use is gay. I have right here Tricia. Hi, Tricia.
No, it's gay. So it is my News You Can Use debut. You know how I hate being in the spotlight. Okay, so Sally mentioned it, but I really want to acknowledge again the amazing, multi-talented Pamela Benton, who gave us such a great concert on Friday. Really spectacular. And also to all of our volunteers, thank you all so much. It was such a great party. And to our production team, Julian, Dave Ribble, and Gabe Kruger-Ribble. And now today we have a new member orientation, and Murphy will be meeting with anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about our center, be meeting in the library right afterwards. And on February 25th, we have our annual meeting. It's a reminder that everybody is welcome. That particular meeting, we are going to be voting on new board members. And there are 3 seats that are available on the board, and the nominees for those positions are
Karen Dahl-Darling, Rick Hutchins, and Dave Ribble. So there are 3 seats. There are 3 people nominated. Okay. And the governing members will be actually doing the voting. Also, we do have something coming up that's very, very special. It's the chaplain training. And if you are being called, if you have that nudge to have a deepening in consciousness and in service, then you may want to speak to Al. Al, could you stand up again, please? To Al or to Reverend Bonnie after the service and find out more about it. Thank you, Al. Also, we have a sound bath that's going to be coming up on Saturday, March 23rd. How many of you have actually done a sound bath before? Yeah, it's a really beautiful experience. I found out for myself that I kind of got addicted to it. It felt like a spiritual spa. So do yourself a favor, sign up for this. It's a very special experience. I even noticed that when, I swear every time I fell asleep, but it was the most beautiful, peaceful sleep. And when I awoke again, I was totally rejuvenated. So I hope you'll take advantage of this. And I think that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Gay. Children, it's time for our kids to come in. Let's honor them by singing Walking in the Light. These are our future leaders, all of them. Let's rub our hands together and give the children their blessing. Be the love you are. Sing the song you hear. Share your joy of life with people far and near. And the same for ourselves. Be the love we are. Sing the song we hear. Share our joy of life with people far and near. Aren't they beautiful? The little ones as well as all the service providers, the adults who love on them. So children, please go back to the people who brought you. And next.
I made this for you.
Oh.
For me, Rosie?
I just want to show what was made by Rosie for moi. I love it. Now it's our time, please. Stand if you are able. We're going to do the prayer for protection followed by the peace song. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. That's the truth.
Thank you.